Welcome, trader, to the weekly recap of the Forex market brought to you by Admiral Markets. My name is Chris. Today, of course, first of all, the risk disclaimer here explaining the fact that this webinar is shown to a global audience but may not be suitable for everyone. Please visit admiralmarketsglobal.com, select your country of residence, and contact the appropriate entity for more info on that. Also, please be aware that trading for exchange and global financial markets is considered high risk. Please seek the advice of an independent financial advisor for more information on that. This video is for informational and educational purposes only. By continuing watching this video, you agree with this disclaimer and you are aware of the risk involved when trading. Let's kick off the analysis with the dollar yen this time. Basically, price has respected and is respecting the 50 fib. Talked about that in the webinars last week, but also in my wave analysis. I have this as a wave 4. A bit deeper maybe than usual for wave 4, but still possible to be so. 50 fib is definitely a spot where wave 4 can turn, and price is making now some gain to the upside. I think this is what I expected, so this is kind of a confirmation of what I was looking for, a wave 5. Now we have to of course be aware that the US elections are on Tuesday, 8th of November, and the results will be kind of dripping in, just like with the Brexit. You'll still get more data as the states show their most likely results, or they will have maybe 95% of the votes will be in, for instance, so you can start to make already assumptions of who will win the elections. And depending on, of course, the candidate that wins, there could be some impact there on the financial markets, Forex markets as well. That's why Nennett and I will be discussing that in Monday's webinar, and we'll be looking at the most likely outcome of the winner on Thursday's webinar. Let me show you right now, in fact. And this is how the webinar schedule looks like. On Monday, we're going to take a look at the expectations from the U.S. presidential elections on the markets, and of course, Thursday, then we'll be looking at the most likely winner. Then, obviously, I hope there is a potential tie, I guess, theoretically possible, but probably by then we'll have a winner. So we're looking at the expected impact on Thursday. Now, in between Tuesday, Wednesday, we have live webinars on looking at the markets. So Tuesday, we'll be looking at candlestick patterns, and on Wednesday, we'll be looking at time patterns and the strategy behind that. So these are the 4 webinars coming up this week. We hope to see you join. Of course, Monday will be, by the way, Monday evening at 6 p.m. Central European Time. It will replace Nennett's usual weekly forecast or recap of the market. I dive into the 1-hour chart here on the dollar yen and draw a line like that. You can see prices basically are trying to break already through it, but there was a bit of a wick here, so it's not really the breakout yet, and it could happen. This might be a false breakout, but in any case, I would be personally expecting a follow through to the upside. This is I would expect here maybe a bull flag, for instance, pattern to emerge, and if that happens, I would expect a break to the upside. If not, an immediate follow through. Once price though gets to 105, there either here or a bit higher, I would expect that bull flag to emerge, and then a continuation higher yet again. Now, this kind of outlook could certainly change depending on how the polls are looking, any recent developments on the news. These things can impact the market, so this is something we have to be aware of, especially in the first 3 days, or maybe this week, generally speaking. If I look at the daily chart, I think the upside does make sense too. But the dollar yen broke above this resistance trend line and posted a higher high. So this could be just a pullback within that uptrend, and I'm expecting on the daily chart price to therefore reach the next target here, the minus 272 target, close to 107, which is also the weekly R3. Now that doesn't have to happen immediately. There could be some triangle depending on how the news events develop. But ultimately, from a technical point of view, let me say it this way, I think that this is looking bullish. I'm looking for bull flags, chart patterns, basically to indicate a consolidation, and then the break I would expect to follow through to the upside. Now with the euro dollar, we're already seeing some downside. I was this morning when I did my wave analysis still kind of on the fence whether this is a correction entirely for one more bounce up. But if price does break through the S2, then I think that some basically more bearishness is to be expected. In my wave analysis, I was not yet certain. Price was a bit higher here. It was still above support. So I gave the benefit of the doubt to the upside and said, okay, there could be a bounce here for one more push up. I didn't see any candlestick patterns in this area that, showed the bounce, and actually price is now breaking through support as we speak. So from this perspective, I do think that there is now a higher chance that there is a wave 5 completed here, and I'm expecting an ABC zigzag to the downside at the very minimum, if not perhaps even a downtrend, right? So it depends also how price will move down lower here. So let's assume for the moment the ABC. Let's be a bit more conservative, and if that were to happen, I think there's a good chance of a bounce at the 38.2 fib. There could be kind of a correction here, either a flag or maybe an ABC zigzag, and there could be one more move down to the 61.8 fib. So that's kind of what I'm expecting here at this moment. I was still hesitant as price was here. Definitely was bullish here for that one more push up. But now that push up, I think, has been completed, and price is in the bearish territory at this moment. So any kind of bear flag like this, I think, could be good for a short lower. But then I would expect yet another correction up before maybe a bigger move down. Could be pretty choppy to the upside. To the downside here. But ultimately, I think we're in bearish territory. So I'll be looking for some chart patterns and some rallies here to short the euro dollar, generally speaking. All right. Again, here pending on the news events, but pound dollar, the same thing really. This upside seems to be complete. If I look at the 4-hour chart, basically price had a big wick here. That's a doji, a pin bar. Price is now showing some bearishness. So I would expect here this upside to be finished. I think that the pound could be actually more impulsive, more bearish than the euro. Actually, this could be the turn for a downtrend. That also depends how impulsive price is moving here. So this is going to be an interesting part. This is going to be an interesting week if price is kind of confirming the bearishness on the pound, because it just started. It is a bit fragile. And I'm, let's say, cautious at the moment and keeping an eye on how this pound dollar falls. I would here too like to see patterns before I trade it. It's at the S2 already, so I think this is a bit tricky spot from my perspective. I think that it might be better to wait and look for a bit of patterns here, but ultimately the environment itself looks bearish to me. So that it remains the same on all of these three pairs. Now the odd USD is a bit different. That looks even choppier than it was. That's difficult to imagine because it already was very choppy. So it just expanded and advanced this choppiness further. And you can see that on the 4-hour chart too, really going very quiet here at the moment. So at this point, I think it's not so interesting to trade the Aussie from my perspective. I was bullish kind of the last 2 or 3 times of these weekly videos, I think, if I remember correctly. So past weeks. Now, well, I mean, the formation looks bullish, so I wouldn't be surprised to see the break. And that could happen when, for instance, maybe the euro and pound are making a bear flag, and the Aussie could maybe show a bit more strength against the dollar than the euro and pound are maybe able to. So you could get that break to the upside. It is a bullish pattern in my opinion. If it does break through support, I would still be aware and conscious and careful of these fib levels. All right. So all in all, I guess today's video is a bit cautious, as you can see. The Aussie is in a tough spot. I was bullish. I still remain bullish, but I think it's a difficult one to trade. There could be an intra-week kind of zone right in here, though, or maybe bounces at these fibs. Regarding the dollar yen, I think that probably looks the best for upside continuation. And your dollar, pound dollar, I am bearish, but there has been a lot of upside, and there is a big event, a news event coming up. So ultimately, kind of still monitoring how these two develop in relationship to the polls and and so on. So that's something we'll discuss tonight as well. I hope to see you in that webinar 6 p.m. Central European Time, 5 p.m. GMT time, and wish you all great trading. Cheers.